The return of the cats. Alright. 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 More PvZ! Yes! That's not right. In the bottom right of Romanticide, we have the blue Zerg, Alpha X's Starkiller. And in the top left, as the purple Protoss, he is Semper. So, for those unfamiliar with Starkiller's name, actually kind of the similar situation of BioAce in a couple of ways. I am pretty sure that BioAce is an older player. I mean, maybe literally, but also, I mean, you know, in age, but also as in I just remember casting BioAce from a very long time ago. And Starkiller also is from pretty long ago, to be clear, but I'm thinking more like 2013, 14. This is all just guesstimations, though, to be honest. I don't actually keep track. Anyways, so not only similar in just like the presence of, you know, ever so being a North American player, it's always a question of like, well, are you full-time pro? Or are you semi-pro? Most of them are going to be semi-pro. Are you really invested into your improvement? Or are you just kind of playing around? It's a much bigger question mark for a lot of these guys than the European or Korean scene. So Starkiller has that kind of in common with BioAce, and also he's also an aggressive Zerg player. So that's two things in common. Now, BioAce didn't really play super aggressively opening, so we can't really call BioAce cheesy, right? It was always a, you know, hot hatch block, which, you know, whatever. Into +1 melee on 3 bases. Like, it's a particular way of playing, and it does involve a lot of checking in on your opponent in a very aggressive way. But it's not cheesy. Starkiller, however, just went for a gas into pool. So, you know, it's obviously going to be scouted. He knows that. Semper knows that. It is certainly providing the aggression earlier on, which for some people is really the marker of a cheese, but we could actually have a very intense discussion about what officially actually makes a cheese. Anywho, make no mistake, Starkiller is going to be doing something with that, but if he figures not only that he's been so thoroughly scouted, which again is a given, you just can't stop the pro from getting in there, but also that Semper would actually prepare against this correctly, he could not do anything with it. But it is a very unideal opener then. The best thing you get from an opener like this now is that your speed finish is like, what, 30 seconds faster? And so a depth pressure is like non-existent. The Protoss player doesn't even really want to send its adept out because the speed would finish so quickly. Semper's going to try because he needs to get that follow-up information. Is this actually going to go into a billion lings and a ling flood? Or are you going for drones, but with speed finishing at 3 minutes instead of, what, 320 or whatever? Like, it could die. It could. Starkiller with only 4 lings doesn't really have quite enough to attempt this around on the adepts if Semper is microing correctly. And Semper is just going to get out of there. He's got a second adept already blocking the, I suppose, actual full wall. Pretty sure about that. And these lings, yeah, with a second and a third adept, actually. Oh, they're gonna fight the first one. No. Cover yourself in grease. No, oil up. All right, doesn't live. Still, 2 adepts alive is fine. Oracle is on the way. Regular timed gases. And Starkiller, well, I guess he doesn't quite know about all of that. He's about to figure out the Stargate with the Void Ray opener. Robo coming down very fast, but he did this against BioAce too. And then a third Nexus, and then Tele Council Forge. I mean, certainly with an opener like that, you're going to be at all times a little wary. Even when it comes to minute 10, you're like, well, you opened up that way, so I'm guessing you're going to be aggressive. Like, it can just be a marker of the person's playstyle. So they could be aggressive, or they could even just be tricky. You know, so they're just like, okay, what's the next trick? I do believe that Semper recalls playing many times against Starkiller in the past. On ladder, both as Protoss and Terran, though, so he doesn't really need to check this guy's build to kind of have an idea of how this guy's going to play. That is a lot of Lings on the way. No Baneling Nest, no Roach Warren. You don't really need one, as the Stargate kind of says I can't really attack you. I mean, you can go for like a follow-up Archon drop. Or even a follow-up. I mean, there are follow-ups to Stargate openers. You can't always assume it's not going to be aggressive. But in this case, you'd be right. It's not. So you don't really need to get that safety Roach Warren. The Baneling Nest, I mean, might eventually come down, right? It's a pretty good tool to have. But right into Ling Hydra. Starkiller, I think, might actually set up for a Ling Hydra attack. I feel like he did this on Tuesday. Or some other Zerg certainly did. Which is a older build, because in the past it was a better build. But I'll wait to see if he actually does it, to see if he... Okay, yeah, he's gonna do it. I mean, no Evolution Chamber, right? And not building any more drones. I was waiting for that larva. He's not building any more drones. So, yeah, the 52, 3, 4, 5-ish, you know, type of attack. It used to be so powerful that that's what actually got the upgrades disjointed. I think the way the upgrades have gone for Hydras is that at first they were At first they were segmented, then they were combined, then they were segmented, then they were combined, and then they were segmented. I think that's actually the history. The history of the Hydra upgrades. Of course, for those who are like, what the hell are you talking about? I'm talking about the range and the speed. So, anyways, when Snoot was playing, because I remember him doing it a lot, the Ling Hydra attack would have both speed and range finish up, and it was really, really brutal. Cheaper and faster. You get the idea. Now, if we're going to do this, it is with Hydra speed. Hydra speed first usually means aggression over range first, which means defensive, shooting over force fields. Ideally, you have both, of course, but yeah, the Hydra's going to get across the map as fast as possible, which isn't that fast, but still. And we'll see if Semper's going to be prepared. He actually is already prepared, I would argue. Not even with the cannons finishing up with the shield batteries. I think by knowing about it, he is already more prepared than Starkiller would like. Oh no, oh no. Well, hoping that the Lings would not go into the natural. Force Field does come down to stop further Lings from coming in, but now it creates an area where Semper wants to stop the Hydras from tearing down his wall. He kind of has to walk away from the shield batteries. Only so much, though, and a Stasis Trap has really helped take out some of these Hydras from the equation, and this kind of looks like a no-brainer on the defense. I'm not sure what Starkiller is going to be able to do here. Oh, whoa, whoa, that was a deep, poof, that was Artosis Pylon. That was a huge deep power. Cannon, shield battery, and immortal production now cut, and 2 gateways now out of the equation. That was actually really big. Hello, and then Ling's back in the natural are going to get some probe kills when they really should not. Oracle's going to come save the day. On the right side, it is still going swimmingly for the Immortal Archons, but... Ooh, yikes, that was almost what caused it. Thank you very much, Chapato, 92 for tier 1 sub. So only 7 probes went down, and it looks like Semper was kind of building through that anyways. So Starkiller is in a pretty poor spot. So you cut drones pretty early. He's only now up to 58. Your 4th base isn't that well timed. You don't have any upgrades. The best thing here is definitely to go into those lurkers. And also get a Hydra range, I would expect. But yeah, lurkers. I mean, lurkers... You know, any siege unit is going to be that potential. Any siege splash unit. Most of them are splash units. But like Liberator, for instance, is a siege unit, but not a splash unit. Anyways, you got those 2 things going for you. Then those are going to be the comeback tools. Talk about disruptors. Talk about siege tanks. That's pretty much it. That's you know, those are 2 comeback units as far as like either surviving for a long time, so you turtle with the tanks, or for actually doing explosive amount of damage as in you would with the disruptors. Lurkers kind of cover that as well. They are going to help you out more than massing an army without upgrades, even though lurkers also benefit from upgrades, as in the +1 upgrade. They are the best when they have those hive upgrades, though, so it kind of gets, you know, scary when you're like, well, I got lurkers, right? But you can't quite afford to get up to that hive. Starkiller, it's not so much that he can't afford to get up to a hive, it's that he is sacrificing any amount of decent army as the game goes on to get up to this hive right now. He's actually saving a lot of minerals and gas, ready to immediately get all the upgrades that he can. And I guess waiting as long as possible until he sees Semper actually move out, which Semper is moving out. He's mined out the middle here. He's gone for the Rich Vespian Geyser, and also the closer attack path to his opponent's 5th base, which is going to be denied. Starkiller has 3 lurkers and 16 hydras and not much else. 4 lurkers about to finish up. We got 1 observer, 1 oracle for detection. That's actually enough as long as I don't get sniped. Semper, is he gonna... I mean, you gotta figure this out. He actually sees a lurker, so he does. He knows Starkiller's plan. I don't know how good this map really is, though, to depend on those lurkers. Like, it's not that easy of a map to just turtle on 4 bases, and certainly a Zerg player is gonna need those 4 bases. So Semper, it may take him a while, but he does swing around to the left side. He's gonna catch at least 1 lurker pretty alone, but he needs to actually cast Revelations. His observer is on the right side. He's gonna need another one. And there's a cooldown revelation, but where are the rest of the lurkers? Are they defending? Yeah, they're defending. 18 drones go down. The lurkers finally come forward. Looks like another revelation did go down, revealing about half of them, but I think it would be safer. I'd feel a little safer if the observer came along as well. Starkiller's plan to try and hold on with lurkers, not really working out so far. But it was kind of the best plan he had. I think the other thing that causes some volatility are banelings. But yeah, I mean, you gotta choose banelings or lurkers in this scenario. I'm actually surprised the Starkiller still does that Ling Hydra attack. I actually have not seen it work. I haven't seen it by anyone in a long time, so that was unique. But also, I saw it on Tuesday and it didn't work, and I saw it today, it didn't work, so... The last time I saw that build work was when Snoop was playing. Question mark. And you got Storm, +2, charge. He actually went for double Robo, so Immortal's coming out. Could even go into Disruptors if he wanted, but he's going for something even better than that. Semper's already on his way to Carriers. And Starkiller could maybe afford a couple of Vipers. You know, maybe. Can't afford much more. Just going to go ahead and push through the lurkers. Siege units be damned, but lost his observer or lost the revelation. 2 lurkers actually starting to really decimate the army. Whoops-a-daisy. Revelation comes in and finally kills that lurker, but Semper's gonna have to withdraw, at least temporarily. A bunch of zealots in the natural are gonna head into the drone line. I thought maybe they're gonna target some technology. They are not. Just trying to get the heck away from the lurkers, which now have both of their upgrades. But Semper, as I was pointing out, is onto something that Starkiller, really can't defend against. I mean, how is he really going to tackle carriers? A Lurker Viper army can be scary, but Lurkers don't shoot up. So you're going to have to start including a lot more Hydras, but Hydras can only do so well against carriers, especially if they're going to have upgrades on the interceptors. I think Semper's gonna play it safe, maybe wait for a max that army again, maybe just wait for the mothership, and 6 carriers seems to be kind of a magic number. Maybe a 1-2 punch. Not even gonna wait for the mothership. Ah, okay, he's breaking open a wall. It's such a weird little map, isn't it? The first time I played this map and I saw that you could open this up, I was like, oh. I keep forgetting. And then I keep thinking you can just go down this ramp, and I never break down the wall, so I'm like, oh. Ooh, Lurker's getting immediately bopped. Starkiller's got a new thing to worry about. How about we see some microbial shrouds? Let's do it. Let's fucking go. It actually affects this type of game. Of course, no one would really want to do that. The thing is that Vipers have so much utility, yet the Infestors would really only have... I mean, yeah, Fungals also... I guess. But, like, Vipers are just so much better. I would love to see an Infestor for a Microbial Shroud, though. I would. I know it doesn't look that bad, because Starkiller is actually almost max again, but it should be really bad. This incoming fight should be pretty terrible. I mean, it's not the most carries you could possibly have. I think some are reinforcing still, but a lot. The 2 Vipers, I think, do have some juice for abducts, but that's going to be 2 carriers maybe getting targeted down. If the Hydras can actually do it. Let's see, this one on the edge, definitely going to go down. And a second one could go down, but that's actually it. Semper doesn't quite know this. He wants Revelation, wants to see the entire army. Now he's going to see it really is only 2 Vipers, and I think just continue pushing through. Semper's also on 6 bases while he does this, continuing to build carriers. Could also continue upgrading, but whatever. Whatever he wants to do, man, doesn't matter. Storm's hitting the Hydras. Carrier's taking out the Lurkers, so we're down to 6 Lurkers. Feedback and carrier target goes down, so it's only down to 1 Viper. Starkiller rebuilds 3 Vipers, which I think is his best bet. Outside of, you know, magically getting 1,000, 10,000 minerals and gas and movement and corruptors. Outside of him calling a friend for more cash, I do think Vipers are the better option. Yeah, Zealots aren't really looking so hot there against Lurker Hydra, are they? So, maybe not super useful. Just more carriers, though. Just more carriers and continue upgrading the carriers, right? These Hydras have no Carapace upgrades. I mean, the Interceptors are already pretty baller with their +2. But imagine +3. And imagine 10 carriers and not just 8. I do think Semper is respecting his composition more than he needs to, but not so much more than he needs to, actually. It is still a scary composition that if you mess up can suddenly jump on you, sure. Like if you don't realize your carriers are lacking interceptors and they realize it, they jump on you, it can go south. But I think Semper could continue pushing in. I like his respect, though. I mean, he knows he's going to win eventually. Starkiller is down to 3 bases. He even has units checking for hidden bases, for the most part. And all he needs to do is get enough carriers. Starkiller's gonna run out to try and catch him maybe on the retreat. He's gonna lose 3 Lurkers in the process. Good feedbacks on all of the Vipers. Literally every single one lacking that energy, and enough for more Storms on top of the Hydra as they get bathed in it. And now Semper could return and just kill him, right? Semper could just go for it. Semper, okay, and, you know, I've been giving you, I've been like, okay, yeah, we're gonna play it nice and so, okay, but now I think, like, just kill him. Just go for it. Just do it. Oh, he actually had 1 Carapace upgrade. I totally missed that. Or maybe that was recently. Maybe it was after I said that. Maybe it was finishing as I was pointing out his lack of upgrades, but still. Yep, this is it. Come on, this is it. Hydras, please stop killing the Interceptors. Just die. Starkiller. I mean, the thing is that maybe people are going to accuse me of being disrespectful to Starkiller. Like, he has a composition that I think can surprise Protoss players, but ultimately is not the best composition. You usually do not just want to purely depend on Hydra, Lurker, Viper, although it's fine enough. And I don't know what his long-term plan is, right? Like, he realizes he is in a position to only defend, and he's probably not thinking much of the later game. This is finally going to be it, I think. But I don't know what he was thinking could happen after this. And that's going to be that to the last Hydra. GG. Semper takes game 1 after holding a Ling Hydra all-in. I used to know the timing of the all-in, and now I've totally forgotten it. But the 50 drone all-in, and kind of wins from there, honestly. He would have had to have really thrown away good units to Lurkers, which entirely possible. Could have happened, but he did not. This can't be GM, says the guy in chat. Not realizing that he's just admitting how dumb he is with every statement. Meh. Meh, meh, meh. I see everything on my screen and have no obligation to any of the actions I see, so thus, when I know what they should do and they don't do it, it means that they are bad. I'm gonna read this guy's messages as if I was the woman with the whale sounds. Oh, he has no creep spread? What tournament is this? Oh, it's Masters League. Can't keep a straight face. I'm remembering the video and it makes me laugh. Hey. All right. Game 2 on Pillars of Gold. Starkiller has his mid-game attack, which I think against worse or less patient players than Semper wins him games in the macro sense a decent amount of time. Like, he does transition and he plays out games. And he certainly wins games just by surprising his opponent. I have no doubt that it still works for him a decent amount of times, which is why he still does it. That's logical. But yeah, I really think it's not one of those. It's not Maru's T-Rex, okay? It's not going to actually be dependably good, regardless of what happens. So should see something changed up for this map, and maybe not start off with the early link speed this time. In the bottom left, as the teal Zerg, he is Alpha X's Starkiller. In the top right, as the purple Protoss, it is Semper.
Hostile forces detected. Arming raid defenses.
Thank you, Chicks TV, for the raid. Appreciate that. Starkiller's gonna open with gas pool again. I'm gonna see what happens. Semper has, of course, already sent a probe out, blocking the hatchery. That's not that quick anyways. It's coming down now. And eventually he'll get back in there and see maybe exactly what timing the gas was, but... Oh, he already got in there. Just kidding. Just kidding. So yeah, I mean, again, this does put fear into the heart of the Protoss player, because, you know, you're not going to feel very comfortable about sending out that Adept Scout. And if you don't send out the Adept Scout, you don't know if they're going to do a Ling all-in. Sometimes your Oracle is timed just in time to see the Lings charging at your natural, and is like, oh shit, but really it's usually an Adept thing that scouts that. Semper did an excellent job, at least, you know, he tried to get the Adept out there and see what was going on, and yet still save it as well is pretty critical. And it was just fortunate enough that I think Starkiller had not made 6 Lings to immediately try and grab that, because I think if you have 6 Lings and the Adept actually goes out, and you have speed, which you will of course have speed, then I think you can actually get a surround and kill it. 4 is microable. 6 might also be microable. Depends on if they have a shade or not, I suppose, right? Anyways, thank you TV881 for the tier 1 sub, and Poison28 for the 2 months. You're wonderful, that is all. Oh, so are you. Oh, stop it. And I love you and I miss you. God, it's such a funny video. Yeah, I feel bad because it's some, like, lady's actual grief, but, like, ugh, it's anonymous, so I'll just continue laughing. Now, this is something very different. So Starkiller, I mean, again, this idea of, like, faster Ling speed, really, I think, causing fear because it does such a good job of denying any scouting, really is like, what can they do after that? Well, in this case, it's going to go into a lair. Funnily enough, Starkiller's Lings were out in the middle of the map trying to check out that natural, which, what the hell is happening here? Oh, I know what happened here. Oh, Semper. Me and you, buddy. Me and you doing the same problem. This pylon actually blocked, I think. I've done that before. Anyways, because if you put it too far back, then this actually can't be put down, or one of them can't be put down. Regardless, that's a very awkward wall for a reason. Luckily for Semper, though, it's not a face-first Ling Flood. It is a Nidus Worm, which I think is actually going to be a bit nicer for him to deal with. First it's an Overlord drop, actually, which is funny. But right there on top of that pylon. So Semper's best bet here is to fully wall off on the natural, and then bring his Adepts up to the main, which, he will have to do. This is actually really clever. Oh, I see how this works. Oh, the transfuses are barely gonna come down. If he had brought the Adepts, that Nidus Worm was 100% dead, but he thought he didn't have to, and that might be his biggest mistake. Uh-oh, Ling's getting surrounded on the Adepts. Natural's gonna be okay, but Queen's gonna try and take out the Oracles, or eventually the Oracles run out of energy. Either way, one dies, another one runs out of energy, and Semper is in a whole heck of a lot of trouble. Some Stalkers warped in. They're gonna be able to take them, like, you know, I mean, they're gonna try and kite, but they're actually not that great against Lings. If Semper holds just the natural, nah, yeah, nah. Pretty sure you don't win from here. Yeah, he agrees. GG. Ouchie bibbles. That's unfortunate. That was hubris. That was a lot of previous defenses against Nidus Worms, telling him to do the wrong thing, actually. If the Lings weren't being dropped, it would have been the right thing, I think, because the probes help out just barely enough. But with the probes dying and losing the attack and having to be pulled away eventually, like all that, like, it was just the difference, just barely the difference. But really, Semper, you know, he's gonna know next time to pull the Adepts in to help out. And then, as I was saying, like, wall off the natural. As awkward as hell as that wall was, it was something he could ward off with a single pylon. Game 3 on Oxide coming in here. Who is going to make it to the qualifying round? Already some other qualification matches are happening. TLO versus Jehefe. The winner of this is going to face Peely Peely for the best of 5 qualifying round. It's going to be kind of difficult for either player. Disc versus Jon Snow and Epic versus Patty Mac are the rest of the qualifying matches. In the bottom left is the teal Zerg, got Starkiller. And in the top right, as the purple Protoss, we have Semper. I guess you could say if he knew 100% it was a Nidus Worm with an Adept Scout, then it would have helped. But I figure with the Adept scouting no third, and getting into the natural to see the drone count as well, like, I feel like Semper actually had enough information. Starkiller's opener did not deny enough information. It was really just that Semper thought he had the perfect plan. The just barely, but it's worked in the past plan. Because, you know, what other things that can happen with a Nidus Worm like that is that they can do the Nidus Worm for the Queens, because they'll eventually use it. If it comes up, great. But sometimes they put on a Nidus Worm, and then they actually just attack from the forward. They attack your face, because you're like, oh no, and you pull everything to the front, and they're like, gotcha, because Zergs are tricky. So I understand him not wanting to abandon his post in the natural, but that Overlord drop was quite clever. I thought it was going to be like an Overlord drop into Distraction, so the Nidus Worm came down somewhere else, or like behind the Overlord drop. But the Overlord drop with the Nidus Worm was more clever than I gave it credit for. It was cleverer. So another gas pool opener. I guess he really just likes doing this because it really... I mean, it really does scare the Protoss. This scares the tiny Protoss. It forces the vulnerable Protoss to go back into its hole and hide there. But Semper, if Semper does everything he did last game, and then actually takes Ignitus from a bit more seriously, it should be fine. There are tons of other things that Starkiller can do, though, so you can't just assume. And that's where Semper's really good scouting has come in. You know, he hasn't done the, oh, I don't know what's going to happen, I'm just going to leave this adept at home. He's always sent it out and then microed it so it lived, or lived as long as possible. And in last game, he even managed to avoid the speedlings and not get caught in the middle of the map. Starts this game off with losing a probe, but that's fine. What's not fine is if he is going to get lane busted. He's not. He's actually got like a cheeky probe getting in here. It scouted the third hatch, I believe. It did indeed. So it could still be a ling bust. I mean, these drones could be lings. But at least he's got some confirmation that the lings aren't already there, coming across the map. The adept would still love to get across, but it's actually stuck in the main. Oh, I'm actually confused by this. I guess he is assuming it's not a ling bust. And thus his Stargate opener is going to tell him what it actually is. But, you know, Ignitus Storm doesn't come down this fast. Oh no, the Stalker moved! I guess he maybe was thinking of microing it. It was like, wait, no, I shouldn't micro it. Or, oh no, wait, it actually didn't move, it just got surrounded. Oh, it wasn't actually big enough. The Stalker was not thick enough. That's always annoying. I definitely thought it was. Or, no, maybe it was and he did move. I can't tell anymore. I thought he was building the pylon because it wasn't thick enough. Or it wasn't a wall enough, but it looks like he did actually just misplace his second pylon. Okay then. Understandable reaction. That is a definite, that's the good reaction, is to plug it up. But he messed up the plug up, and luckily it wasn't more lings. I really can't say plug it up without thinking of carry. I should not say that anymore. Void Ray is going to be able to cancel a Spore Crawler. Doesn't need its overcharge for this one. There we go. A little bit of harassment, but we gotta talk about the actual scouting. Semper is gonna want his Oracle to get into the main and see that a lair is already on the way. Not because it's a especially fast lair. It is a faster lair than some other builds we've seen, but because it'll eventually put something else down with that lair. Is that lair for a Spire? Is it for a Hydralisk Den? Again, no Evolution Chamber at all. No Baneling Nest, no Safety Roachworn. Hydra? Spire! Oh, you clever boy. Oh, Starkiller. He's tricky. He's very tricky. That is difficult for the Protoss to scout. The absence of technology would be a tell. The problem is that you can't really ever be sure, 100% sure, that you didn't just miss something. You know, I mean, what if he gets this scouting but then doesn't see what's over here? I mean, that could be where the Spire, Hydra, Roachborn could be. Best case scenario is that Semper does a double hallucination and thoroughly scouts and question marks pop up and he says, I guess I'll get a cannon in a couple mineral lines because I don't know what this is. Worst case scenario is that he has no idea ever and that the 6 meters, 7 meters, whatever it's going to be, kill a bunch of probes, and then it's 10 mutas, and then it's 15 mutas, and he's still reeling from the bopping of his third or main or whatever it's going to be. We'll see. We'll see. Fourth hatch actually going to be canceled. Oracle's barely alive. Voider's going to run away. Was that canceled?
You are doing something
Yeah, it
right,
was.
Captain.
Lings get in, and not just seeing if they can get some probes, but may also be checking for vulnerable spots for the mutas. Where are their cannons? Are there cannons? Are there any stalkers here? Is it going to be a push so that I have to worry about defending first and then building mutas? Or am I fine to build nothing but mutas? He got all his answers. He can just build immediately 12 mutas. Way more than I thought he was going to build at first. Sorry. And that is going to be really devastating. This is going to be so difficult to defend. Thank you, The Silent Knight, for the 3-month resub. Still delaying that hatchery is nice, but oh, you really need to scout the spire. Oh no. Biowise, or not Biowise. Both cheesy Zergs, whatever. Starkiller is so cheeky. You know, funnily enough, I think on Tuesday someone was asking, when's the last time we saw someone creep spread for a hidden spire? That is so funny. Well, here you go. Looks like he did see the mutas, so he's building a phoenix, he's warping some stalkers, he's trying to build a cannon. This is maybe okay if he pulls the probes. Well, so muta's actually going down. I mean, that was a ragtag group of units there from the Protoss, but it was units. I'm surprised that Starkiller is committing to this attack, but he might actually be correct in it. These Stalkers with no upgrades, these Phoenixes with, you know, being alone can't really micro, and the Void Ray doesn't actually help that much, so it went down without killing anything, and, well, that might just be it. 17 probes, lots of injured or killed units, and Starkiller still gets out of there with 14 mutas left over. I mean, I feel like that was one of those situations where if every unit was warped in and in place from the get-go, it's a mistake from Starkiller, but because it was one after another, it was a lot more awkward. I mean, Starkiller is only on 58 workers, but he still has so much potential to do damage. He is once again engaging on top of a cannon with a shield battery into Stalkers with a shield battery, and I gotta really question this one, 100% questioning this one. He did get 15 more probes because of it, extending his worker lead quite significantly, but I mean, I think there's more of a snowball effect if he didn't actually use his mutas like he did. Because it's not that he's... If he was planning on going back into Hydras or Roaches or whatever, I'd be like, yeah, all right, that makes sense. But he's actually trying to go into mutas. He is trying to, I mean, eventually either get more harassment done, of course, but also eventually get the insurmountable number of mutas that he just have the base rate against. And he's been reduced back down to 12. And that's still 42 workers killed, though. I mean, that is painful. Semper is going to desperately do an attack, but he doesn't have a Warp Prism, so I don't think he can. You can't exactly play against mutas without more Phoenix or Blink, though. Preferably more Phoenix, I would say. One Phoenix, one Archon with the shield batteries wouldn't have been so bad, but... More probes gonna go down. Yeah, this seems like it's still gonna snowball. I mean, Semper was building probes throughout the attack, so he never went sub 30, but it's still not great. And while Starkiller still isn't building more drones and necessarily extending his economic lead, he still has an economic lead. He still has a lot of room to buy time if Semper were to do an all-in. He has the option of a base race. I would say more drones, just to give himself even more gas, would really solidify his lead. Would solidify this game. It's a very difficult thing to defend against, man. GG. Starkiller with the 2-1. Moves on to face Peely Peely, who, for his sake, is hopefully...